selected, the paints for the walls, where all the light switches would be, and then the stacks and the kind of shelving it would be for the new building. Then in early 1962, we were allowed to hire a part-time, another assistant library director, who was Mr. Bob Moore, who came here, and he did the cataloging, and so that took some off of Mr. Blassett, who was real busy with the furnishings, and the building was really progressing by that time. And then Marion Shires came at the same time. She was an employee at the City of Baytown, and she came and she took the typing off of me while I helped volunteers who we were having then to come in to do the advertising and the filing of the cards in a card catalog that we had also borrowed from Arnold Oil and Refining Company. And they loaned us one long range of shelving, which we still, in the library today, have that range of shelving and that same catalog that we used back in those days. So it's been a good one.
Tell them about the current termination.
Oh, I was going to get to that. I remember that. I'll never forget it. While I was talking, I thought of that. We would box the books and we would sit them in the floor and stack them in order as we went. Well, let me back up just a little bit first. In November the 1st, Eva Ray Collier came on then in 1962, and she, of course, we all worked together. We had a typist and the one that typed the cards and helped with all the volunteers, which were many, many people, and they even typed orders for books by then. We had order forms to put them on, and we was really getting up in the world by then. And we boxed the books and would stack them in the bedroom side, the other side that used to be the bedroom of the duplex. And lo and behold, we went in there one day and the termites had eaten through the floor and up through the boxes, and we lost some of our books. And you talk about disheartening when we saw those termites eating into the books. But then we had to shift them and move them. And then we kept working in those quarters at 522 West Pierce until we got the new building up. And in December of 1962, we worked like Trojans getting it from over to Pierce Street over here, because the shelving was up and we had to get the shelves and the stacks and everything ready to open for the February 25th opening. And that was the hardest day I think I've ever worked. Marion Shires, who was hired as the other woman with us, became ill and never returned back to work. So Eva Ray and I on that day, it looked like thousands of people came through that desk, and she received them at the circulation desk, and they lined up the cards by the typewriter just in rows, and I typed all day long. That's all we did that day. I'll never forget it. But it was wonderful memories, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. It's a marvelous facility. And when Miss Wilhite came in 1965, she took off, and I mean, it hadn't stopped since. And I hope it never does.
Right. Ernestine and Eva Ray and Sally were, I guess, our very first ones. Yeah. Sure.
You're always good.
Well, that was a surprise. I didn't know they were going to ask me to come up here, but I'm so glad that Sally came up here and gave her experiences, because I came to work 2 weeks after the library opened, and Sally was the one that trained me how to order books. And so for the last 23 years, well, that's been my job, and I guess that I've ordered every book in this library since Sally turned the job over to me 2 weeks after we opened. Dot Rosenzweig typed the orders for me for years and years. She came in here and she volunteered and she typed them. And she was so dedicated. And also Jean Rosenbaum and then Nancy Mann were all such dedicated volunteers that when these ladies missed a day's work, they came and made up their time, and they were volunteers. And so that's the kind of people that we've had working with us, and it's really been a joy. I enjoy my work.
I think Bill Floyd is in the audience and has something that he wants to tell us.
Just a few hundred well-chosen words here. About things that went on in the early days in the library that I was mentioned over here. Back in the early days, the Homeowner Refinement Company had a joint conference, which was a meeting of employees and management to decide matters of wages, working conditions, grievances, also other nice things like entertainment. Now, in 1936-37, I was elected to represent the Research and Development Division in this conference, and I was chairman of the Entertainment and Educational Committee. I think my budget was about $300 to $500. It's kind of hard to do very much entertainment with that kind of money. So I decided with a budget of $300, the best thing we could do would be to forget the entertainment and go in for the education, which was to get a library started out at the old community house. We decided to establish a small library community house. In order to do this, we had to get the books at a reduced price. For many years, Ms. Mabry had been the rental librarian at the Fletcher bookstore on Main Street in Houston. Later, she moved over to the Lamar Hotel mezzanine and opened her own rental library. Since we were all good friends, we decided Ms. Mabry could let us have some books at very reasonable rates. As each new book came out, she ordered several copies. Pretty soon one of them would become surplus, so we were able to get fairly new books at a very reasonable price. And this greatly reduced rate, we were able to buy about 114 books, I believe, for about $200. And then we had the addition, we bought 16 books from the Fletcher bookstore at a tremendous price of $14.20. I have a letter here written by Frances Porter, who many of you remember as the sister of Travis Porter. She later married my brother-in-law, so now she is my sister-in-law. But she wrote, Mr. Moore, the following book will be purchased for the Baytown Homo Club from Fletcher's bookstore in Houston, $14.20. Miss Sheehan Floyd, who is in charge of purchasing these books, has informed me that by paying cash for them, Fletcher's has consented to let us have the books at the above price. Would you please approve this order so that a check can be made to cover this amount? So even in those days, you had to have the money in hand to get your books. Well, so much for the library. It went on, I think, and gradually as time came on board the war, the less and less attention was paid to the community house, and books gradually disappeared. But at least we had a humble book club once, a humble library once upon a time, no pun intended. Seriously, the thing I enjoyed most of my attempts at civic duty is to try to do things for the library, and it's been a great pleasure to me all these years. And I think listening to all these people and the fine effort they put into it, it's been a great thing. And it's continuing to be a great thing. I don't want to brag, but I believe I'm the senior librarian here tonight.
I was so glad earlier to hear Deacon Jones' name be mentioned, because he certainly has been a friend to the library. And I think Deacon was here tonight, isn't he?
Yeah, he was.
He was. Yeah, Deacon, do you have an article you wanted to tell us about?
If he's already brought it.
I have it.
Why don't you come up?
You've been listening now to all these people telling you about all the good things that they've done. So library. I want to tell you about the dark days when I had a little trouble getting a couple of librarians straightened out around here. Some of you remember Bill Shule. He was raised here, and I have a little article that was printed in Baytown Sun, and I'm just going to read it. It'll take about 2 minutes, I think, to read that. That will give you a picture of why I am the library cleanup man. Here, where it is, I will do the cleanup. If Baytown had more I am Deacon Joneses, the future at the Baytown Library would be bright indeed. There is no end in the help that Deacon has been to us, and there's no job too small or too large that he doesn't do for the library. Mrs. C.T. Shule, librarian, pointed out during the current observance of National Library Week. Jones, well-known electrician, was the one who started the cleanup campaign at the library. One day, Deacon staged a personal inspection of the facilities and suggested throwing away old things that were not usable and had been there since the library started, Ms. Shule said. He hauled away 7 truckloads of junk. Then Deacon helped to rearrange the books and magazines. The city of Baytown built a book rack to accommodate many of the books which had been stacked away unseen, and Deacon obtained a special rack for pocket books. Deacon also fixed our magazine rack to hold the magazines so they wouldn't slide out, got us a rack to hold our daily papers, cleared the ceiling, took the hour sign down as T.J. Sanders would paint it, so T.J. Sanders could paint it, and later Deacon rehung the sign out front. He has never had any publicity about it, but Deacon has done a tremendous amount of work for the library, Ms. Shule concluded. It's not all good work. There's a lot of dirty work. All of these library moves. But I am very glad that I've had a part in it, and I hope that some of the rest of you will someday clean up around here and get this library going right.
One more story to tell us.
I'm not asking for another time around. I made all these notes and then didn't cover half of it. But one statistic that I think would really show progress from 1931 until 1986, the month of June, just this past week in the little column that takes you back in history of Baytown or so many years ago, under the 55-year notations, it had Ann McCullough had reported the circulation for June of 1931 was 4,168 books. So yesterday I checked on the circulation of our present library for June 1986. Was 71,123. So I'll tell you, that really is reason to be proud of our library that we have today.
Well, the evening would not be complete without getting our library director, Flora Wilhide.
stories. I had not heard all the stories, but I had heard some of them, and every now and then I'll say, Sally, tell me again about when y'all were in that bungalow. And I just love hearing these stories about what dedication it took to get this library started. And when I came here, I really found a home, because all these people devoted to making this a wonderful library, and it's been a grand library town. And we're going to need to all pull together again, because we have tough times coming up. 3 years ago, we had an $82,000 book budget, and this next year we'll probably have around $34,000, and we'll weather these bad times. But we need to all stick together on this and look forward to many more years of exciting library time in Baytown. But I just love hearing your stories. It's just, I came from a town that had a library given to it, a magnificent library given to it. And somehow it's just more exciting to hear these stories. And I guess our library might mean more to us, because the people who had to work together and build it for what it is. And I can remember when we dedicated our new edition, Eva Ray, and Mrs. Gross, who was the first Harris County librarian, came that day. And we were able to hear what she said. And she said when Ross Sterling, she went to Ross Sterling and asked him if he would rent space for them. And he said, well, you just tell me what you want and we'll build it. And she said they scratched down on the back of an envelope, and he built them what they asked for. And but it's just the nature of man to want something better and better, and in a few years to come we're going to be thinking about something even better than we have right now. But I love this evening, and I just appreciate all of you coming to listen and all of you coming to talk. It makes it special.
Is there anyone else, we don't want to leave anyone out, who'd like to come up and add something to the evening? Yes. Please, Dr. Spring, we're delighted to see you.
I can't turn down an opportunity to speak. It's been an exciting evening. I've gone through many of these things with Dot and Edna. Maddie, I don't think we've ever served on a committee together. But I want to tell you, if you're on a committee or on a board with Dot and Edna, you got to work. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. It's also nice to see so many of the other old timers still alive. I must admit, Laura, that it was a lot more fun going into the old library on Texas Avenue. When I walked in there and Eva Ray was there or Bill was there, it was nice to say, give me a book. And it gave me a book that I enjoyed, and I didn't have to have a card, didn't have to present any credentials, I didn't have to ask who I was or fill out another card because mine was outdated.
The fine was 2 cents.
Pardon me?
The fine was 2 cents.
Yeah, I like that part too. But I like the casualness and the informality. I must say that the new building and the new library has brought a great deal more to me and to Baytown, and I'm grateful for it. But I did like the other deal better. But I think that many of these things that have been said tonight by the speakers, and I miss Eva Ray's, the speakers have been very modest. They really haven't told you how they got down on their knees and begged, how they worked day and night to bring this to be. They've made it sound very simple and very dramatic and very lovely, and it is. But they didn't tell you the kinds of things that they did. And I think that they all deserve a very special vote of confidence from us for bringing us here tonight and for their part in making this building what it is. And we didn't really realize the kinds of things that they were doing while they were doing it. And I, for one, am very grateful to the three of you and to you, Eva Ray, and to Flora as well, for bringing this about. And I couldn't let the evening go by without making a very special comment about this.
Thank you. It could not have been said more beautifully. Is there anyone else that would like to say something?
I can remember at a district meeting of the Texas Library Association, sitting across from Maddie at the luncheon, and it was before I even knew we were going to move from Orange, and I was asking how you passed the bond issue in Baytown, because we had worked on the bond issue in Orange, and we had an opening of a library the same in January before this library opened in February. And Maddie said, we knocked on every door. And that boggled my mind, because even in Orange, we hadn't knocked on every door, but we didn't have the dedicated people that Baytown had. And there's just a feeling in this community that I have never felt in any other community that I have worked in, that everyone working together and everyone being so accepting of newcomers. That was another thing that I noticed about this community. Being accepted the minute you walk into town. That meant a lot.
Yes, sure.
You talked a lot about what we've all done and what you all have helped us do. But I think we owe the city councils, all of them, all the way back, and the mayors we've had that we've worked under, that we worked with, and especially Fritz Lennon. Fritz has gone to bat for us over and over as our city manager, hasn't he, Flora?
Oh, yeah.
He's just been a wonderful friend. Of course, being a city manager, he should be. But we haven't had to fight him. Fritz has said, we'll work it out, we'll find a way. And the little, well, it's a little at the time, but the problem that Flora walked into when Mr. Tillery had to do some pinch hitting for us. And Flora came, and she, with Fritz's help, it all worked itself out very smoothly. So I just really like to thank all the people who served on the city council and the mayors that we've had, and Fritz Lanham. He's been wonderful for us.
You know, I said our book budget went from $82,000 to $34,000. Well, it was because Fritz saw to it that we got $40,000 in revenue sharing. When I go to meetings across the state, other libraries aren't getting a big hunk of money out of revenue sharing. It's revenue sharing that we're losing, and that's why we're coming down. And it's because Fritz Lanham put us in the revenue sharing budget. And that's why we've been able to grow and get ready for the bad times. And we were able to build a good, strong, basic collection so that it'll help us weather the bad times ahead, because it was as if he saw it coming, and for years he gave us a huge hunk of money out of that revenue sharing budget, and the city council went along with him and approved his recommendation. We've had very supportive city council, and it's just made a big difference.
Well, is there anyone else? I do want to mention that on the back we have all of our scrapbooks from the very beginning to now. So if you have time, do browse, and Mary Lou Burkett has a display in the back that you'd like to see. We don't close till 9, so you will have time to visit with each other. And thank you so much for coming, and thanks again to our panelists.